Hey guys, I'm Jessica Mulder. Welcome to the Hard Way Pod, the podcast about learning from your mistakes. We're quarantined, so we're not in the studio, but I've got Chelsé Greaux. She's a comedian. She's amazing. Welcome to the pod.
I'm happy to be here. Jess. Thanks for having me digitally.
Yeah, well, we were going to be in the studio this weekend, but I was like, this is a little. I was a little ahead of like canceling it, but then they went and put us on lockdown anyway. So I don't. That seemed like a bad idea.
No. You were right on the money. Let's just social distancing. Just keep it up.
Yeah, I work from home, so mostly I'm okay, but it's still stressful every time I do leave the house for anything. It's like, oh man, I don't realize how much stuff I'm touching. This is crazy.
Girl, right. It's like
yeah.
I gotta say I got an experience with this whole thing because I was in an accident last year, and so like I basically the brakes failed on a scooter I was riding, and yeah, I know I can't say the company because I have a white lawyer and they told me to zip it. But they're trying to get me paid because I was out of work for like 9 months, and
oh my god, I do remember seeing something about that. So you were on a scooter like a I can't say
no, it's
name.
okay.
That's the whole point.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't I just can't say the brand, but yeah, it was one of those one of those popular brands of scooters, and so
gotcha.
Yeah. But so I was riding it. It was my first and last time riding, of course,
I wouldn't. I'm too afraid of it. I'm clumsy as shit just walking around.
Girl, that's the thing is I'm clumsy too. It's one of those things where it's like I just wish I would have walked that one night, but everything happens for a reason because right. It wasn't my fault. It was like I rode it to 7-Eleven, no problems. I ride the same scooter back home, and then I try to brake. Girl, the brakes didn't even nothing. The brakes. And then finally, it was like, so I'm clicking away because I'm realizing it's not slowing down. And then all of a sudden, I finally, after clicking it, I don't know how many times, it finally kicked in. But it like threw me, and I landed like right on my knee on the street. And
my god.
Yeah, girl, it was pretty scary. I mean, I'm just grateful to God that it wasn't a more serious accident. But like, yeah, I ruptured my patella tendon. That's the tendon that covers your kneecap.
Oh my god, that sounds so painful.
Oh, it is, girl. Like literally, my doctor, when I talked to them about how much pain I was in, they were like, yeah, knee injuries or the pain when you first receive the injury is on par with childbirth.
My god.
Right. So I'll be adopting. If this was a preview, I was like, man.
My god.
It's like, yeah, and it's the pain that doesn't have a beautiful baby at the end of it. It's just
yeah. Now you're just out of work for 9 months, like injured. So you hurt yourself, and that's so crazy because I totally get that. Like you're trying to hit the brake and it doesn't work, and then when it finally does, it does it too hard and it sends you flying.
Yeah.
So obviously you learned not to ride those things, and it's like you're trusting this machine to work.
Right.
Oh my god. So then what? So how did you end up for 9 months? You just like couldn't walk. Like what did you have to do?
Girl, it was insane. So when the accident happened, I had surgery 2 weeks after my accident, and I couldn't like. It was crazy. I couldn't even shower for the first 2 weeks after my surgery. I had to do sponge baths, which for me.
Oh my god.
Girl, I know, because which for me as a Virgo, if anybody knows anything about Virgos, we love cleanliness and organization. And
man.
Yeah, girl. So I honestly was definitely like, that was frustrating. I couldn't do stand up for the first 2 months after surgery. So that was a shock because I'm the kind of person, like, I love getting on stage like as much as possible. I just feel like that's a key in order to grow as a comic, is just staying on the mic, and I had to really, I was on disability, and, let me tell you something about disability, girl. Disability, disability, they give you enough money for like one 7-Eleven hot dog a month. Like I said, I don't know what they.
And then how long does it take to get it even?
Girl,
like,
it took like 6 weeks. It took like.
So what are you doing for 6 weeks?
Girl, well, thankfully, I got injured right before my my paycheck from my job, so I got paid like maybe a week after my accident, so that helped me like with rent and stuff. But the disability came like right before. I was like, whoa, and then it was dramatic, girl. But I'm grateful that I had my surgeon was Asian, and so yeah, like
Oh,
he was. Yeah, go ahead.
oh no, go ahead. No, I was just going to
Oh,
let you tell me more about your process through this whole nightmare.
girl, insane, right? I mean, literally, because this is the thing. The injury I had was a ruptured patella tendon, right? So that's like your kneecap's wig cap, So it's like, imagine something like a drag race that turns into a fight and somebody snatches someone's wig off. That's what happened to my knee. Just like
That's horrible.
it's awful,
Well,
right?
I think about knee stuff, and I'm just like, knee stuff is so gross to me. Like if I have like a tiny pain in my knee, I'm like, oh no, did I tear my ACL? Because you always hear people saying like, don't get knee surgery, it'll never be the same. But it's like, what are you fucking supposed to do if you end up in your situation?
Well, that's the thing is, it's like, the beautiful thing is that I'm it's like, you have if my doctor told me, he was like, if it was a partial tear, you wouldn't need surgery, but it's a full tear, and he's like, if I don't reattach it, it's just, you're gonna be basically crippled,
Oh
and
God.
and the thing is like, people say that, knee surgery, like, I'm a big believer in, do not get surgery unless it is absolutely necessary, and for me it was absolutely necessary, and shout out to Obamacare. I would not have been able to get surgery if I didn't have Medi-Cal. So
oh wow, nice.
yeah, but girl, no, it's funny because when I was apparently the type of knee injury I have isn't as common as other knee injuries, as in like ACL, MCL. So so I'm in the hospital, right? I'm waiting for surgery, and while I'm waiting for surgery, these other doctors are coming in my room, and they're like knocking on my door. They're like, "Hey, tap tap tap, excuse me." They were like, "Sorry to bother you, but are you patella tendon rupture?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And I'm like, yeah, exactly. They're like, that's how they talk to you in the hospital. And I was like, oh, well, that's my slave name,
Oh my God. You're like cracking them up at the hospital, I'm sure. But like, I love that they were referring to you as like your injury. They're like, oh my God, patella tendon rupture. That's so rare. We got to go talk to her. Like, they don't even learn your name. That's hilarious.
They don't. It's like, girl, I felt like I felt like Beyonce in the hospital, because everybody, they were like, oh, can I just look at your chart? Like, oh my, and they're like, they were looking at my chart like my chart was Beyonce. They were like, oh my gosh, like she did she did Drunk in Love and Crazy in Love back to back. Oh my gosh, like that was the reaction. It was like, I watching them react to my chart was like watching somebody see Beyonce's Homecoming for the first time. Just jaws open.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And go ahead. Yeah.
No. So I was just going to say, so you're in the hospital, and
yes,
first of all, famous and probably having a good time. Thankfully you can get in there, and hopefully you didn't get a ton of bills, but like, yeah. So like, what was your life like? What did you end up having to do during that time? Because that's 9 months is a long time to be just like out of it for something that people use so regularly. Those scooters, like people are all over those, and they're drinking on them.
Oh yeah,
and all this stuff.
And that's what's crazy, girl. I was stone cold sober. I didn't even smoke weed. I was like, wow. That's what pissed me off. I was like, oh my gosh, I guess it's not even like I could blame myself. It was like I did everything right, and it still freaking happened. But but the good thing is that, like, I'll say this. I'll say I definitely grew a lot during that time. Like I had to go into a straight faith mode for me. Like when the accident happened, I'm the kind of person that I've always battled anxiety. I know a lot of us do, but like, like I got diagnosed with it when I was like in my 20s, and I tried all those drugs, the Xanax, the Zoloft, they tried me and all that stuff.
Right.
And I hated it, and I just really, then I discovered weed, and, we're all good now.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, is during that time, it was like I really had to just go into I don't want to say autopilot, but in a way autopilot, like I had to just get my ass up and just be like, all right, Chelsé, you get a few minutes a day to feel sorry for yourself, but then you gotta move, you gotta make the phone calls, you gotta make the doctor's appointments, you gotta get, talk to your insurance, you gotta, get to physical therapy. And I did all this with no car, girl. Like, so it's like,
oh my God,
I'm sitting here with knee injury, taking 2-3 buses to get to my doctor and Van Nuys and all this other stuff. But you know what this whole process taught me, and this is bringing it back to like kind of like now with the coronavirus, because during that time, like the first 2 months I couldn't do stand up. Thankfully, end of September, I was able to start doing stand-up again. And so, I wasn't able to go out as much, but as more time passed, I was able to go out more often. And I did have to walk with a walker for a little bit, and that now I have a cane, and so and so that was a process, but less hardware.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks cooler too than a walker.
Yeah, the cane's it's pretty cool for sure. I call him Big Daddy, so.
Yes.
But yeah, girl, I just so during that time I did some I definitely did some writing. I did some, watched a lot, girl. Especially the first 2-3 months, I watched everything. I watched Game of Thrones start to finish. Girl, I watched Scrubs start to finish. Scrubs has 9 seasons. That's a lot. I watched.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched all the issues: Blackish, Grownish, Mixedish. I got caught up on all those. Girl, I'm telling you, I just can't. I watched so many movies. But after the few months, you're like, I just can't watch anything else. So then
Right.
I had an experience. Once I got the cane, early November. And when I got it, I was walking to get groceries. I used to live like up the street from Ralph's at that time. And I'm going to the grocery store. And this used to be like a 10-minute walk, no problem for me, right? And I'm walking with the cane. And at this point, I couldn't even bend my knee still, And I remember carrying these groceries. And I was in so much pain. I had to just drop the groceries. And I just broke down crying, And because it was just like, it hit me. I was like, wow, something that I never used to think about doing is now such a task and requires so much energy. And
yeah, people take for granted their physical health, and only when you're put in this position of actually having that taken away from you and having to adapt do you realize, oh man, like I really have to adjust and this is hard and you have to push through and all that. Yeah. And with the pain, were they giving you because they're pretty tight on pain medicine these days, so you just kind of had to push through that?
Well, the thing is, so they gave me hydrocodone, and first of all, girl, let me tell you something. If anyone's a drug addict, they should get surgery, because when you're in the recovery room. Let me tell you, girl, they pulled me out in the recovery room, and they're taking me off anesthesia. I'm like, I'm obviously in pain. And, so when you come out of recovery, they have to pump you with a bunch of drugs so the pain doesn't hit you. So the guy, he's bringing me out, and he's on the phone with the nurses I'm going to be working with. And he's like, all right, patient Chelsé Greaux, I just gave her 3 hits of codeine, 2 hits of morphine, and 3 hits of fentanyl. I was like, fentanyl? I said, these are HBO drugs. Some of these drugs I haven't heard of since Euphoria. On HBO, I was like, these are new drugs. And then he kept saying hits, which for me, I was like, sir, why are we using street terms? This is a hospital. Who says hits? Don't you have a medical degree? Let me see your paperwork. But I was too jacked up on drugs. So the hospital drugs they give you in the hospital are amazing. But out of the hospital, they did send me home with some really high ibuprofen and some hydrocodone. So I told myself, because I'm really weary of prescription drugs, and but I did need them for the pain. So I was like, all right, the first 3 weeks after surgery, I was taking them once a day, and they're strong, girl. I could tell how people get addicted. I was like, man, I was just stuck. But after about 3 weeks, the pain got to the point where I was like, okay, I can manage this with edibles and weed. And so I only took the pain pills for the first month pretty much. And then I was back to the ganja.
Well, that's good. But that's also that's how people, I mean, I'm not going to say everybody, but that's how people get worse problems, because they get addicted to pain pills and they're like, this isn't strong enough, or they can't get them. And so then they start doing heroin, because I've definitely taken pain pills for my own pain that I've had. And those things, they're nice, first of all, because you're like, ooh, I'm kind of loopy.
You're loopy, you're tingly, your whole body, and you have absolutely no pain.
Yeah, and it's so it's really nice, but it's so easy to get stuck in that and be like, wait, can I really can I live without this right now or not? And it's so easy to be like, oh, fuck it, I'll just take it because I'm allowed, because I've been prescribed it, you know? And also, and you don't have to say this if you don't feel comfortable, but for me, I've had an issue with when you take them too often in a row, and maybe this is just me, is you get I feel like it dehydrates you because you get so constipated.
No, they do. They do constipate you. Like they gave me a
Yeah.
stool softener. They were like, "Oh, this you're gonna," and I was like, "What's this
Oh,
for?"
okay.
They were like, "You're gonna need this with the codeine." I was like, "No, man." I was like, and it does constipate you. When I started realizing I was getting constipated, I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I didn't even take the stool softener. I was like, "Nope, kale smoothies." Freaking, I was like, anything. I looked up anything with fiber, and I was like, I just pumped my body full of fiber. I said, we getting this mess out. I'm not gonna be taking stuff that my grandma took. Like, no, fam.
Yeah, right. Prune juice. Yeah, no, really though. But like, they never warned me about that, and I remember being like, now I'm in pain because of the constipation.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, like that's no good. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
It's insane, girl.
So now you're doing better though, and you're walking with your cane.
Walk with my cane
and all that.
And the biggest thing I did is I'll say this with the groceries though. I had a moment when that happened, when I dropped the groceries. I was like yelling out, and I know everyone believes in what they believe. I believe in God, so I know when it happened, I just called out to God, because I was like, God, like, I can't do this. And I'm wailing in pain and crying. And I was like, God, I can't do this. This is too much. I was like, I can't. And I've already, I've gone through a lot of other stuff too, like being homeless and, abuse and just other stuff like that. And so I'm not, trying to like, pick up my cross or anything, but really like I've already gone through a lot of rough stuff. So I was like, man, God, like this, like, I felt like I was just starting to make a turn in my life, and now this. And then, so I'm screaming, I'm like, I can't do this. And I heard this voice come in my spirit, and I believe it was God. But I heard this voice so clearly say to me, Chelsé, yes, you can. Matter of fact, yes, you can. Right?
Yeah. Yes, you can.
And I was like, and I looked at my cane and I busted out laughing. And then in that moment, I meditated on it, and God was like, you're going to record a comedy album. You're going to call it Yes, I Can, and you're going to record it at the end of February. And that was it. And that was all the instruction I got. And I'm like thinking in my head, like, what? I'm going to record a comedy album? I'm in like excruciating pain right now. Like, what are you talking about? And this was November. But I thought about it, and I was like, I had been writing. I had all this material. I was like, about this injury specifically. I was like, why not? And that's what I did. So February 27th of this year, I recorded Yes, I Can, my second comedy album. And did a half hour. I'm very excited about it, to put it out. Like during this quarantine time, I'm going to be editing it and everything.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, again, just to circle back to how we started with the Corona stuff and dealing with it. I honestly think that, because it was really hard to produce this album, and I just had to the waiting on the money and trying to get the audio and all that stuff. But everything came together, and what that taught me is that you take things one day at a time, and you just do what you can do in this moment, that you'll be okay.
Right.
And it's helping me with the coronavirus situation, because I think that if I had not gotten injured like I had, I honestly think that I would be somewhere having a freaking panic attack right now. And I might be paralyzed with my anxiety, because this would have been the most serious thing that I'd gone through. But I just went through something serious. And now I'm just like, I know that it's serious, and it's unfortunate that people are dying. It's unfortunate that, we are in this situation. We have to be on lockdown. But I just went through something where my faith was really tested,
Right.
And I survived it. And I'm like, well, now my faith is stronger, and not only just in what's happening. Like, my injury happened, and I was out of work for 9 months. 2 weeks before I got cleared to work in February, my job did a mass layoff in my department that I worked in, right? So 2 weeks later, I get cleared to work. They cancel my disability and my food stamps all at the same time. So I sat there for and I was like, oh my gosh. And I had to move at the beginning of February, because my roommates, I live with 3 guys, which means that I was the maid. And
oh yes,
girl. And so and
what is up with that,
girl? Yeah. I will never get it. But so they were all like, oh, we want to get our own place, and I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, sure.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah. But so we all moved out, and so then it's like, it just, everything happened. Like, it's like I did my comedy album, had to move out of my place, and right after my place, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm out of food stamps. I'm not on disability. Unemployment was giving me a bunch of crap. And then my job calls me and says, hey, we just want you to know, we know we did layoffs, but you were on medical leave. And so you were protected and you can come back to work. And
oh, that's great.
And the best part, girl, is I work for a weed company. And so, yes, girl, I work for a weed company in their distribution center, and doing like packaging. And girl, I'm telling you, like, I am so grateful. I started back 2 weeks ago, and now we're in the process of, just getting busier and busier because thankfully in California, weed employees are considered essential. So I'm still allowed to go to work and all of that. And I just think about time. What I guess I said all that to say is I think that this is with timing. Like, if I had not gotten injured, I would have just continued to work. And then when they did layoffs in January, I would have gotten laid off. And then I would have tried to get a job. And knowing me, I probably would have tried to get a restaurant job or something, because those are the kind of jobs I've had before. But then right now,
and then it's like quicker to get it, because it's like in real time. Like, you can get hired faster in a restaurant job than any other job where you're sending out a fucking resume.
You're right.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the whole thing. But if I had done that, then right now I wouldn't be working, And it's so for me, looking at that, it was like God's timing, and then the timing of life and the timing of moments. It's like, for me, I was, wow, like, this injury really in a way protected me, because now I have a job that I don't have to worry about, us going to work or not. And it's great because now I'm like saving up for my own place and all of that. And I'm grateful for my injury now more so than ever, because it's the thing that has me in the position I'm at, which is, a good place.
That's amazing. And it's so interesting and awesome to me when there's like a serendipity that's positive coming out from something that was really negative, and you had to like push yourself through, and like, like you said, it tested your faith. Like, you're in that quintessential situation where everything is already going wrong. And then like you drop the groceries when you don't, like, physically you're already in pain and you're walking around with a cane, and you just finally got away from the walker, like taking a bus to fucking physical therapy. And it's like, oh man, like you kind of like snap and break down at that point, and you like hit a bottom, and you're like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
But the funny and great thing is, like, one, your brain, like, which already is so funny, because I've heard your stand up and you're just really funny. Is like, it does like, it makes a funny joke in your brain.
It does.
That now like set off the catalyst for your comedy album that you just recorded, And it's like out of that struggle came like the really even more positive thing, that maybe like you would have been a little complacent. You would have been a little like, oh, everything's going well, it's going to keep slowly going up. And then now that this global thing happens, you'd be like, well, fuck, I'm not prepared for this. But because you already had been like struggling, you're like, I'm like ready. My eyes are peeled.
I'm ready for the struggle. And Jessica, I gotta say, like, another thing that really, really, really helped me through this process was the fact that I had never heard of my injury before I got it, right? And since my injury, girl, from a combination of a girl I met at karaoke, I had a few delivery drivers that delivered food to me. All of them told me that they themselves had gone through the exact same injury.
What?
Girl, that's what I'm saying. Like, what
are the odds?
What are the odds, girl? Like, literally, like, and when I was walking around my brace, my walker, I kept, once I was cleared to start going out again and walking slowly and everything, I started meeting other people, and I kept meeting people. I think I've met probably at least 5 or 6 people that have had the exact same patella tendon rupture injuries, and they were all strangers,
Wow.
But they saw me and they were like, oh, what happened? And I told them, and they would be like, oh my gosh, like, listen, like, I know what you're going through and it takes time. They were like, but you will get better. They're like, look at me, I'm back running, I'm back hiking, I'm back boxing, I'm back going up and down the stairs, I'm back doing yoga, I'm back, all the things that when you get a knee injury, that's the thing is the biggest fear is, am I going to be able to like move? And can
I go back to like my baseline of where I used to be? But that's so incredible and amazing. And like, I'm not a huge God person as far as like religion goes.
Of course,
I'm a very big like universe connection, spiritual signs person.
Yeah.
For sure. Because like, to me, it's like, I've had those things where like shit's going wrong, and like then suddenly you keep ending up in a situation where you're seeing other people that sort of let you know you're on the right path, you know? Like
Absolutely.
you were treated like Beyonce in the damn hospital because they've never heard of it. Yet you meet 5 or 6 people with the same thing, and they are there to support you and be like, yo, hang on, keep doing your thing, don't give up. Like that's like such a like goosebump chills thing that I've got going on right now, just hearing about it. Like, that's so awesome that you met people like that. Like, what are the odds of that? I love that sort of stuff.
That's what I'm saying. That's how I know it was like spiritually. It was definitely something that I was supposed to meet these people, and these are people I met them and have never seen them again, and probably will never see them again. But but I needed to see them in those moments, and every time that I met somebody who told me they had the exact same injury, it would always be on a day or in a moment when I felt like I was going to lose it, you know? Yeah. And then they would be like, and then I just, the guy, my Postmates delivery driver, I had a patella tendon rupture. The girl, I go to karaoke, and then like there's a girl, she sees me because I just needed to get out the house one day, and I just went to karaoke and got drunk. And the girl, she saw me, she was like, hey, like, I want you to know, like, I ruptured my patella tendon and tore my ACL in the same knee at the same time, you know? Right. So and I was like, that's wow, horrible. Exactly. But then when I tell you that girl, she was walking around, she was bending over, things that seemed impossible at the time. She was just, she was moving. You would have never known she was an injury. She's like, it gets better. She's like, I'm back moving. I'm doing my thing. It took time, but I'm here. And it's like, that to me is definitely something that gave me a lot of peace. And I think that was another motivation for Yes I Can, because even other people who didn't have knee injuries, I met people who had gotten in car accidents and were suffering from chronic back pain, or had broken their collarbone or broken their arm or what have you. And just like you talk to, and I realized, man, people sharing their survival stories, like, it really helped heal me, and it really helped me keep my mind on the positive. And I feel like Yes I Can, I was like, I hope that that's what this album does for other people, like totally. I want the album to be something where it's like, oh, okay, like shit, she went through that. I mean, I just broke a nail, like, I'll be okay.
Yeah, right, exactly. No, it really puts things into perspective for people. And like, I don't know if you've listened to the podcast before, but like, I'll tell a story that's similar when we're kind of done going over yours. And like mine, like you just mentioned back pain and all that. It's like, I have similar stuff like that I had to learn. And then going back to our medicine topic, that it was like, if only, like, I had so many moments where I was like, why am I in so much pain, all this stuff. And anytime anybody else was going through it, or I saw their whole thing, it really did help me and inspire me. Because when you're going through these like physical issues, and then you already have anxiety or depression or whatever, it's really tough to feel alone and feel like, well, that's it. Anything that I wanted is done now. It's over because of one stupid little thing, and you're just thinking to yourself probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're like, all I did was get on a fucking scooter. Yeah. I did not know that it was going to like derail my life for 9 months. But luckily, like, you've got this album coming out, and when we're like finishing up, I definitely want you to give more details about that and let us know when it's coming out. And I'll you can send me the links and stuff, and then I'll update the show notes for it too.
Oh yeah,
so we can share it and all that, because I'd love to help get it out there.
Thank you. I'd love that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so crazy though. I can't believe that many people, like down to like your freaking Postmates delivery guy, are coming in being like, oh, by the way, I had that exact thing. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It. Definitely helped a lot, more than I could say.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad to hear it. You're still walking around with your cane now?
I am still walking around with my cane. I most recently I did go to physical therapy last week, and when you have a joint injury, they're really big on getting your degrees of rotation back, like that's their, like, so my healthy knee, the one that was not injured, that has about 132 degrees of rotation. So for perspective, when I started physical therapy, my injured knee only had 50 degrees of rotation, right? So
oh wow.
yeah, so that I couldn't bend it at all. My leg was basically straight. But through physical therapy and everything, now as of last week, I'm at 131 degrees of rotation in my injured knee. So I'm pretty much symmetrical again. And
Oh,
yeah, girl, and
that's amazing.
it's so grateful
And
for that.
you've been going to physical therapy every week?
Yeah, yo, twice a week. There's been
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Twice a week. That's so much to be taking the bus to when
yeah,
you're already like
girl.
it's hard to walk. Holy shit.
Yeah, but it's one of those things is like my surgeon, he said something to me, because the thing was is like I had a month delay starting my physical therapy
Mm-hmm.
because of all insurance. It was like and I was the insurance delays. They made a change that wasn't supposed to be there, and long story short,
Oh,
that pushed things back. But then I remember my surgeon, when I went in to see him, finally, he told me, he said, he said, you're healed, like in the surgery sense. He said, but now you got to do the physical therapy work. And he said, just remember, no one is ever going to care more about your knee and your healing than you. And
oh,
so he was like, so, I know it's hard, dealing with insurance and dealing with, and going here, going there. He said, but no one will ever care about your body healing more than you. And he said, so it is your responsibility to just do what you have to do to heal. And I was like, yeah, like I could have, if I had sat on my ass and said, I'm not going to physical therapy because I have to take the bus, I wouldn't be walking like I am right now,
right.
And
And just like getting frustrated with the whole process, like you said, holding it back. And I'm sure there's a level of like, oh, maybe I can like look up some exercises I can do, but you don't want to do that because it's like maybe what you'll be doing is detrimental to your healing.
yeah,
You're not the professional that's like watching and keeping it in line, making sure you're not overextending and all those things. Like, yeah, you have to, but you're right. Like people, like I've gone to physical therapy before and like just stopped going and like they don't care. They're not like, because like to me it wasn't like working or helping with what I was doing. And all the things that they did show me in the first couple times were all things that like places that I went that were like, oh, here's a printout, do this, we'll be back in 30 minutes. I'm like, well, I'm not going to pay you for that. I'm gonna,
yeah,
do it at home. And so in that case, it's like, luckily I could do that. Your situation is a little harsher, but like nobody was following up and being like, Jess, we better make sure your back doesn't hurt, Like it's
yeah.
definitely something that you have to take on. Oh
You have to
man.
take, yeah, you have to take it on. And that's the thing is, it's like, all the response, it's like something that happened that was out of my control. It was like, this is my opportunity to take back control.
Right.
It's like, because the thing is like, I was like, Chelsé, just, and I had to tell myself, I was like, yeah, Chelsé, it's a long, journey, but you ain't got nothing else to do, girl. You can't go to work.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So,
But that's really awesome though about like how that ended up in the end helping you with not being laid off, and so
yeah,
with this whole new situation, it's like, holy shit, what? That's lucky but also great. And I'm sure if you weren't good at your job in general, they'd be like, oh, whatever, let's get rid of her anyways. But obviously you were, so they're like, let's keep her around.
yeah,
Because that's like a
yeah.
lot of things that people are learning now. It's like if you showed that you were expendable when everything was fine, now that this happens, like that's why you're laid off.
No, that's
Um,
true, because I will say that, like, and I feel for because I worked in the service industry out here in LA for like over 4 years, and I feel for my brothers and sisters that work in service, because I've made a lot of like really dope friendships, from the different like jobs I've had, and so a lot of my friends still work in service, and a lot of them are just really going through it right now and stressed
yeah,
out, and so I definitely sending prayers and shout outs to them, because I know it's not easy, but yeah, like I just it's all gonna work out for the better. But yeah, I just, in the meantime, I am grateful that I'm able to be working right now. So for sure.
yeah, that's what I think with this whole thing. Like, because like, yeah, I have friends that work in the service industry too that are laid off, and luckily they can get unemployment right now to help them out. But it's just like, just goes to show you like how quickly things can change. And just like your whole injury was a big lesson for you, and like, okay, what can I handle, what can I push through, what did it teach me? It's like I'm hoping that like how much of a shit show all of this other stuff has been can teach us a lot, because we were not prepared for this at all.
Yeah.
And everybody is just like collapsing, and it's crazy because like I was job hunting for the past couple months, and like the week before all this popped off, I had like 3 job leads that were looking pretty great, and then now all of them have fallen off the face of the planet or did contact me again, because one of them was for like an event company, and they do like large scale global events, and I'd be sort of like the creative services manager for that. And I'm like, she's like, hey, it's an event company. I don't know what the hell to do. And it's like this recruiter is like collapsing and being like, dude, do you even want to go for this job? Because I don't want you to get laid off in a week. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go for the job with the event company right now.
Right,
like,
right.
And then get laid off.
Who's coming to your events?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody. She's like, they're still scheduled for fall. I'm like, well, then what am I going to be doing between now and then? Like, we don't know. But it's like, I'm hoping that like this whole situation will kind of be a blessing in disguise. And it's just like, well, maybe none of these opportunities were that great anyway, or right for you. And so it just kind of like makes me be grateful that I still have a job now that I like, and even though I'm trying to move out of it, it's not a rush. It's just like, okay, all these things that seemed cool, maybe it's not the time, because I'm certainly not going to risk it for a place that works in events. That's for damn sure.
Oh yeah. And, no way.
Yeah, but I'm hoping like maybe after all this blows over, it's like somebody's like, we are going to give you, 6 figures.
Girl, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there's an even bigger, like all the people everybody that's that's unemployed right now. I just feel like there's something a much better and much bigger on the other side of this. And I think that, we just have to get through this. And as somebody who just went through something like, traumatic, it's like, if you get through it, there is a silver lining on the other side. And it's crazy because we go through these things, and then when you get through it and you look on the other side, you look back on everything in reverse, and you're like, oh, that makes sense why that happened that way. It's just that we're like in the middle of play right now.
Right. And it's like, we're always moving like 1,000 miles an hour. So it's like, it's a nice time to sort of like pull back and just like work on other stuff that maybe you haven't tended to for yourself or for your projects. Like you said, you were doing a lot of writing when you couldn't actually go to mics. You watched a lot of stuff, but then you hit a point where you're like, no, I can't do that. Like I've recently been, I've recently been laying off of the computer and projects that like I want to work on, because I do all like editing and graphic design and all sorts of stuff. Like that's my day job, and that's what I do in my free time because I like it. And I just like hit a point where I just used my arm too much, where I gave myself tennis elbow, but from the computer, and carpal tunnel, to where they were like, look, you can't be sitting at the computer 15 hours a day, because that's why your arm hurts. And like, you're doing nerve damage. You're doing damage to your nerves and your tendons here, So it's like in a time where now I'm like, oh, this would be a great time to be like working on like learning more animation or learning this. I'm like, no, maybe this is a good time to learn how to relax.
Yeah.
Because the next thing you're going to do is like totally, I wear a brace when I'm working now, and I've, gone to physical therapy a couple times until they were like, you can't come now because of coronavirus. Which, they had to cancel all that. But it's like, even that's like nowhere near as deep of an injury. So luckily I can do all these exercises at home.
That's
just
good.
Like one of those things that sort of forces you to like think of things from a different perspective and see what you really need to get done. Are you still able to go to your physical therapy now during this whole problem?
So far, I mean, I've been going now. I'm in a situation where, when you get physical therapy, they have to request the sessions from your insurance and then wait for approval. So I'm waiting on my next approval for the final sessions, but I as of right now, they're still going to physical therapy. They are giving us, gloves and all that stuff, and they're constantly wiping down the machines. But there's not there. It's been very minimal people in there at the times that I go. So yeah, no, I'm still going for now. But yeah, it's kind of day by day. They said they let us know, as Corona intensifies, if they have to make any changes and stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, and also like if you're able to like wear gloves or be on the machine and they're just like watching you from afar, that's a little better than like me, where my thing was like literally sitting 10 inches away face to face with this chick while she's like massaging my tendons with these little metal sticks,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like we're basically breathing into each other's mouths. Probably,
right. Oh, they did the metal sticks with you too?
Yeah. And probably, the one where you have to sign the waiver because it's going to like pop blood vessels under your skin.
Oh, wow. Oh, you had a special one.
Yeah. It's just like this like long, looks like a knife handle.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. But yeah, no. It's just like the whole physical thing. Like that's like one of my big anxiety triggers is these sort of physical issues because of, and what I'll talk about is my, I got in a car accident, and I talked about this on the last podcast episode because we were talking about like cops and how they're mean to you. So, and like this, I got in a car accident completely sober when I was in college, and it took years for it to manifest as physical issues because I didn't feel injured, so I never really checked it out, which was, a lesson I've learned. Like maybe you still go check it out just in case if you get in a big car accident because things can pop up later. And I always was on the computer. So I was like, oh, this is why my back hurts. But it took me a long time to figure out why I was getting this like really severe back pain that had me in tears half the time, and like the doctors for years couldn't really figure out where it was coming from because it was like in my shoulders and back. And they were like taking x-rays of my back and all this stuff. And they were like, oh no, everything looks okay. You have like a little bit of scoliosis, but it wouldn't do that, da, 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 da. And only like years later, when they looked at my neck, they were like, "Oh, you have 2 herniated discs in your neck that are now like, what do they call it? Radiating to other areas." So they just looked in the wrong spot. But during that time, like when I first started getting the really bad pain, I was living in New York, and I was like bartending and stuff. So like standing and like, lifting and doing whatever with back pain, and then also like doing stuff on the computer at home, like freelance stuff. Just like getting to a point where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in such pain, and I can't, like, I'm like in tears. It hurts so bad. I don't know what's going on. Oh my gosh. And I remember going to this doctor because like half the time, like this was back in probably it was like 2009, 2010. So this was like around the time when they were still handing out painkillers like crazy. And so like that was half the time what they would do. They just like, here's a bunch of pills. And then I'm like, well, now I'm constipated and it's a Band-Aid and nothing is getting better. Great. So I was sick of getting pills. So I thought I'll go like see if I can find a doctor under my insurance, which I had because I was still like on my mom's insurance. So I was like 25.
Oh yeah. Right on time.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I was like, I'll find one that does acupuncture because I know that acupuncture has helped me. And if you haven't tried that, like definitely test it out because if not even just for like the anxiety and relaxation of it, making your muscles calmer, I feel like that has helped me way more than a lot of other treatments. So I tried to go to this doctor that said he takes insurance for acupuncture. And I went to him, and he like was kind of like dumbing down my symptoms. You know how doctors sometimes do that. I don't know if you've dealt with this where they're like, oh, you're being dramatic or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But he wouldn't he was like, when I got in there, first I called ahead. They're like, yes, it's covered. I get in there. They're like, actually, it's not covered for this. They're like, but, we'll give you like a cortisone injection or 2, which they do for muscle pain. And here's some pills. But he's like, I'm not going to give you narcotics. I'm not going to give you hydrocodone. I'm going to give you this other pill that is like really not habit forming. It's really not blah, blah, blah. It's like a safe drug, they say, And I'm like, okay, so I'm not even thinking anything of it. And it's called tramadol, right?
Oh, man. So this doesn't sound like it's going to end well.
Yeah, right? So it gives me tramadol. Tramadol is not a narcotic. It's not bad. It's not scary. It's basically like a fancy Tylenol, right? So he gives it to me. And like, I'm prescribed to take 5 of these things a day because they're weak, right? I'm supposed to take 5 a day, but I don't because I'm like, well, I'm going to take however many I need depending on how I feel. Like if I'm in more pain, I'll take all 5 throughout the day, or I'll take less, or I won't take any at all. So I'm doing this over the course of like 2 months. And some days I take it, some days I don't. Some days I take more. But I'm already small, but I lost 15 pounds over this 2 months because I was not able to keep food down.
Oh my God.
I kept getting like really sick, like and just like throwing up. here or there. And like when I took the pills, I didn't feel like that, anything wrong. But like, when I didn't, I discovered is when I got really sick. And I remember going back to this doctor throughout. It was like, it was either 2 months or 3 months, but I remember going back and he was like, maybe you're lactose intolerant. I was like, no, dude, what's going on? Like, could it be these pills? He's like, no, it's definitely not these pills. But then I discovered like that I was like, I don't trust these pills. So I stopped taking them completely. And then I proceed to go into the worst withdrawals from a drug I've ever gotten in my life.
Oh,
this is coming from somebody who has been on oxycodone and hydrocodone for pain. And I've never experienced withdrawals like that. And I'm like, so I went 3 days. I'm like shivering. I'm throwing up. I'm like freaking out. And then I start like researching it. I'm calling out of work and people are like, oh, these are pills that you have to take every day. Otherwise you get a physical dependence withdrawal symptom. So the days that I wasn't taking it, I was getting sick. And, and either way, it was totally screwing up my system. So in order to like actually function in society, because each day that it went by, they're like, you're not supposed to go cold turkey off these pills. And I'm like, that's kind of scary for a pill that's supposed to be a safe non-narcotic. That's just like a Tylenol,
right.
So I fucking take these, like I take one immediately, like within an hour, I'm like baseline normal again, not sick. I feel fine. I take a cab to the doctor's office and I'm livid because it's like, he like gave me this false sense of security with these pills to where I wasn't paying attention to them. So where I got like physically dependent in a way where if I didn't take them, I was ill. And like, I go to his office and like, they'd been like giving me the runaround, like, no, he doesn't have appointments. And I like show up there and I'm like, hey, let me talk to this guy now. And they're like, no, he's not available. I was like, well, he better get available because I'm about to cause a scene right here in this fucking lobby right now because I'm pissed and he has me addicted to some bullshit physically.
Right. And that's his responsibility as a doctor to let you
exactly
know.
Blame it on lactose intolerance. And it's like, this isn't even like I'm excited and having a good time on these drugs. Like this is just like physically dependent. And then I ended up like, he ended up talking to me and I got to like taper off of them. And I just remember after that being like, okay, whatever it comes down to with my physical health and whatever I'm going to do, it is not going to involve any sort of pills.
Yeah.
Because I am so sick of like trying to trust doctors to take care of me and then have them have this happen.
Girl.
And then blame it on something else. Like it's so fucked up.
It's fucked up because it's like they spent all these time going to medical school and all this money just to guess.
Yeah.
It's like,
just to guess.
I can't count how many times I've asked some of my doctor's questions and they'll just be, I'm not sure what that is. I guess you guess.
Oh my, you guess. Yeah. Don't you dare guess. This is expensive.
I was like, so all that money and all that time in medical school for you to just be like, to still be at question mark. It's like, I just, and the funny thing, now, who does know stuff? Nurses, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
That's the gag, though, because it's so funny. Doctors will look at something and be like, oh, I don't know what that is. Like, I still have some inflammation around my knee. It's a lot. It's gone down a lot, but I still have some inflammation, and it's because it's just scar tissue. It's like I'm still like breaking it up and everything. But when at first, like there was this one part, like it's like this fatty part on my knee, and I was like asking them, I was like, hey, what is this? And my surgeon was like, I don't know. He was like, he was like, I don't know. It's probably just some stuff. And I was like, what? Some stuff? And then like he leaked
just some stuff.
And like, what's in there? You don't want to open me up, And then, and so then the nurse was like, oh, don't worry. That's just scar tissue, physical therapy and exercises and massages that'll break that down. I'm like, oh, thank you. Person who went to less medical school, but has more knowledge.
Yeah. I'll tell you though, like that's the thing is like, because I feel like my theory is like nurses are people that actually care about making sure people are healthy. And they tend to, just from my history dealing with them, are just a lot more compassionate than doctors who are just kind of maybe like, oh, well, my parents kind of made me go to medical school and I really don't have any bedside manner or any interest in learning anything because there's no real check and balance here. It's just like, you're the doctor, you got your degree, you're not getting sued. Okay, you can keep doing your thing, but we're not going to force you to learn new things. Like half of the things that all these doctors are working on or things in like old books that haven't been updated, like especially when it comes to prescription drugs,
right.
you know? And like you said, with like you were prescribed to like Zoloft and all that, and like Xanax, and like I was on Valium for 15 years, but it took me being like so sick of like taking a pill that never actually fixed the problem,
right,
and also changed my day to day to where I was like, I'm sick of being reliant on something that's not really helping me. Can you just help me be normal by myself? And even if it's not completely normal, sure, I still get anxious, but it's like, I don't need anything like that, you know? And I think that's so important to like have people tell you that there's another way, because half the time they're like, this is just what you're like, this is the only way to be happy, and then you're still not fucking happy,
and you're not,
because taking this stuff.
Because the thing is like these chemicals and all this other stuff. Like I did the same thing. I tried to cold turkey stop taking my Zoloft, and I about
bad,
girl. And the thing, but see, and that's what's jacked up, is no one ever told me that I couldn't stop taking it cold turkey. And so this was,
oh my God,
and I was 21 when I was taking, this was like 10 years ago, and Girl, I took those pills for like, I was on Zoloft for like the better part of a year, and then I just tried to cold turkey it 2 days.
Oh my God, you went cold turkey after a year? That's so bad. And at that age too, because like that's like prime time suicidal age.
Girl, I was like, I didn't know what was going on. I went straight to the hospital. To my primary care doctors, and she was like, you cannot. She was like, you need to get some today. She was like, you have to wean off of those. And I was like, well, why didn't anyone tell me this when they prescribed it? You're just giving me a pill and saying, take this one today. No one ever warned me and said, oh, if you stop taking this can happen. It's like, so, I had to, because girl, like, I felt like a zombie. Like, sure, I'm not anxious, but I'm also not anything else. You know?
Yeah, that's what I felt like. I was like, everything's beige. This is great. Because I remember like being told when I got on antidepressants / anti-anxiety stuff was that like mine was Lexapro, I think. And then years before, like I took Effexor, but it was like, I only was on it for a little bit, but even because I was on it for like 3 months, like the first time I won't get into, because I've already talked about this on the pod, it was real bad. But then the second time, it was like a few years ago when I kind of had a mental breakdown after my divorce. And like, they were like, you've always had depression issues, you should just do it. And then I'm expecting like everything's going to be easy and happy now. And I'm like, no, I'm still not super happy. I'm not super sad, but really I'm just like, meh, everything's meh.
Yeah.
And also now I can't masturbate because it doesn't work. Cool.
Right. And those things kill, and they do not talk about, those things killed my sex drive. Oh my gosh.
No.
I was like, to be 21, 22 and to not really and I'm like, oh no, this is like it was like something wasn't connecting. It was like I'd be attracted to somebody, but then it was like that whole that room wasn't there. It was just like, you know?
Yeah. And it's like, well, that's not something that makes you happy at all.
Right.
Yeah. So that's good. It's good to know. Yeah. So now we've learned about it.
We've learned. And that's why I don't, I think that with cannabis, like I'm telling you, cannabis saved my life. Like I'm from Virginia, and I grew up and was raised, where it was like, girl, don't do no drugs. The cop, and I'm black too, so in Virginia, the cops is extra, they're just extra. And so, you got to be really, so that's why I was always afraid to smoke weed, because I was raised,
right.
It's a narcotic, and it's
a gateway drug.
It's a gateway. I'm like, now I know it's the gateway to happiness, but,
yeah. Right.
But girl, I'm telling you, I do not like regret smoking weed, because the thing is like, I know that I don't, the good thing about weed is like, if I smoke weed like a lot, I smoke it almost every day. I don't like, I've changed my relationship with weed, in the sense that like, now it's like, if I'm turning up or it's someone's birthday, I'll just smoke, whatever. But now it's like, when I'm at work, like I don't like to, like, I like to just be clear at work. I get off work, what I'm saying, after a long day I may hit it. But for me, it's like, I've had some people try to judge me and say, oh my gosh, like you smoke weed every day. I'm like, it's either this. I know that I need a little something to take the edge off. But the thing is if I don't have weed, like I'm okay. Like I don't experience withdrawals if I go a few days without smoking weed. I don't feel bad if I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna smoke weed until like right before bed today. Like That's the good thing about weed, is it's there and it helps when I need it, or if I feel like a little panicky. But I don't need it as a daily thing either.
Right. And you don't have to like wean yourself off for fear of like getting electrical shock type shit in your brain, or just complete like mania, you know? Like I used to smoke weed, like growing up in Florida. I wasn't afraid of it. Like we just had way too many drugs too young, but like you know, I smoked weed all the time, like all day, every day, which I don't do now because I'm like, oh man, I won't get shit done. But I do always have some weed because I'm like, as somebody who's been prescribed to, you know, Xanax and Valium and what's the sleeping pill? Ambien. I fucking hate Ambien, dude. That shit sucks. But like, cause I have like, because my anxiety makes me not be able to sleep. So weed, that's it. That's all that I need. I just need to smoke like 1 or 2 hits of weed and I'm cruising. Or I'll take like, I finally have started getting these like CBD things too. These like CBD gummies.
Yes.
I love those things.
Girl, I'm getting more and more into CBD and CBD flower because it's like, yeah, I agree with you. It's like, yeah, like during the day, I can't smoke. I just, if I'm like, I can't smoke weed during the day to the point where I'm not going to be able to do anything. Like,
right.
If I just want to hit a bowl real quick in the morning, fine. But I can't just smoke a J to the face and then go through my day. Like I got, you know, I gotta balance it. But I would rather be doing weed in moderation than being on like one of those pills. Because,
for sure.
You know, it's definitely, and that's the thing is like, you know, when you know, like people like to judge, and I'm not gonna sit here and like act like I never was never judged anybody in my life, you know. But I think when I was younger, you know, before I moved to LA, I think I was a little bit more judgmental about certain things and people, but definitely now. But I realize now that was like my own like insecurities and my own things, you know. And now I realize like, oh, you know, people look at me and they're like, oh, you may judge me for me smoking weed, but you don't know what I've been through, you know. You don't know that like I tried all those prescription pills and stuff like that. I tried all that. That didn't work for me. This works for me. And as long as I'm being responsible and I'm taking care of what I need, my responsibilities, then it's clearly not a problem, you know. And it's like and you know, because there's some people, I'm weary of, I hope this doesn't come off offensive, but I'm weary of super sober people. Like, not people who, you know, were having a lot of consequences from their addictions and now they're clean and sober. It's and I'm even the people who I know people who've been sober their whole lives. They've never done anything. They've never hit a cigarette, had a sip of alcohol. You know? And I respect that. That's great. But I will say this is I don't mind people who are sober. I have a problem with people who are sober and then try to shame everybody else around them for not being sober.
Especially because like you said, you know, it's one thing if they've kind of like been through it or whatever, or they tested it and are not into it, or because like I have a friend and she's awesome and she's never drank or really done anything, but she'll be around all of us like partying and she doesn't care, nor does she judge or even try to mom us about it, you know? And it's like, and like, but like, that's so rare, like to have her, like normally it's like, oh, I've been through it and I know, but it's like, well, not everybody becomes like an extreme addict, but also I get it. Like if you're trying to warn somebody is like a different story than somebody who's just holier than thou about having never done it. And it's like, well, girl, to me, I'm like, your brain doesn't have an expansive as much imagination now because you've never tried anything and realized it was a bad idea.
Exactly. You know, and it's girl, it's like those people remind me of like the judgmental vegans, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Like again, I love food, you know. Me, I found out last year that I was allergic to gluten, and
I
know, which was really a bummer because I loved me some beer, girl. I used to love like a Modelo or like an ice cold, like, you know, IPA or something, but I had to, you know, but that thankfully right around the time of my gluten allergy, White Claw started popping off. So so those are gluten free, but yeah, girl, like when I found out that I was allergic to gluten, like, you know, I realized I was like, okay, I cut that out of my diet because I was like, as long as I have my favorite food is mac and cheese, right? That's my favorite food. I love mac and cheese. So now I just have to get gluten-free mac and cheese. I just have to eat gluten-free pizza. And gluten allergy, it's a very annoying and expensive allergy because so much stuff has gluten in it. But before that, I was like experimenting. Before I found out about the allergy, I was experimenting with, you know, being vegan for a while or vegetarian. Like I was taking breaks from all those things. And And I tried them out, but I was doing it because I was feeling sick, like I
Right,
was
right.
having inflammation and extreme exhaustion and
Yeah.
joint pain, and I didn't know what was going on. And then they were like, "Oh, it's gluten," and I cut
Right.
gluten out, and within 24 hours, I felt a difference, and after a week, I felt like I
Wow.
got my life back.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, but that's true because they do say that that can cause lots of inflammation.
Yeah, to the
Yeah.
point where you're in physical pain, and if you're allergic to gluten or even have a gluten intolerance, when
Yeah.
you eat gluten, your immune system starts attacking your small intestine.
Oh my God.
Because that isn't that crazy? Like that's
Yeah.
why gluten allergies are hard to diagnose, because the side effects, people think it's diabetes. And I got tested for all that stuff, negative for all that stuff. They think it's all these other things, and then gluten is usually the last thing that they try. But to me, it's like I I'm at the point now. Once I figured out what I couldn't eat anymore, I was like, I don't want to restrict myself food wise anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
I
cause
don't feel the
I
need to.
definitely have like, I wouldn't say I'm lactose intolerant completely, but I definitely have an intolerance. Like, I can't drink milk. And if I drink things with like cream, it's like, this is just going to be a problem for me later. Like, I'll survive for sure, but it's not
Hmm.
going to be a fun day. But like, I've definitely tested like the vegan thing, the vegetarian thing. I've done like the paleo thing. I've done the Whole30 thing, and there's like different like pros and cons for either thing. And everybody's different. And like mine tends to be like less meat, grains are good, lots of vegetables, is like when I feel the healthiest. But like people that are like blasting you about like eating meat and stuff or doing anything, it's like, can you just first of all calm down because it's not your diet. Second of all,
Yeah.
but like I get the opposite from my family at home. Like my brother is the worst about it. It's like I can't not like I've never been a big meat eater with my family. Like and they're steak eaters, so they like every Sunday there's like a big steak, there's a big roast. Christmas there's like a big like prime rib, and I find it horrifyingly disgusting. I'm like, don't give me like fatty meat. And so I never eat it. Like I've always just eaten the sides, and every single time, I'm 35 years old, since my brother was able to judge me, so maybe for the past 25 years, he's like, oh, so you're not eating meat, what are you gonna do for this, what are you gonna do for that? And like they like get like a little irritated that I'm not eating the steak, and I'm like, why do you care that I'm not eating the steak? I'm like, I like pepperoni on my pizza, but that's about it. Like, that's like the extent. Maybe once in a while I'll have chicken nuggets, but mostly I don't like eating meat,
Right. And that is what you have found, that is what you are like to put in your, like or don't like to put in your own body. And that's the thing, is like, I think Chelsé Peretti, she said on her podcast not that long ago, she was talking about how I think she said she eats meat like once a week, right? And that's a decision that she made for herself, because she realized, and that's the thing. It is, she was like, it's so intimate. It's such an intimate thing what people put in their bodies. There's very few things that go inside of our bodies,
Right.
Food is the primary thing that every day we're putting in our bodies. And so it's like, why would you sit there and judge somebody? And it goes for both spectrums. People who like to eat a lot of meat that judge people who don't, and people who don't eat meat that try to. It's like, you made that decision for you. And me, like, I'm in the point now, like, even though I've cut out gluten, I am still experimenting with balance. Like, maybe eating less dairy. I notice that I feel better when I eat less dairy. So it's like, I'd rather save my dairy for a mac and cheese meal or
exactly. That's what mine is like too. It's like I can eat cheese, but I can't eat cheese for all 3 meals of the day, or it's going to be a problem. Like, and I can't like have like if I eat something with like multiple cheeses and creams, which is like the best mac and cheeses, or like I love like what is it, clam chowder, or like things like that are like very creamy. I'm like, okay, this is a risk, but it's a risk I'm willing to take once in a while. But like it's fucked up to me when people start being like, one, they need to show you like why you're wrong. They're like, well, all the studies, it's like, okay, we're not going to get into a debate, because like, if you really look at studies, yeah. And it's like, if you really look at studies, like people, I bet for you, I don't know if I bet for you, but like, I know that like so many people are the whole anti-gluten movement, because they think it's just like people being nitpicky. And they're like, oh yeah, right. You're not really allergic to gluten. You're just like, like people get like mad when people say they have a gluten allergy.
Girl,
and this is like crazy to me.
Well, no, and what's insane is that I feel like I got this allergy out of karma, because I used to be a cocktail server at a very very fast paced, high volume restaurant, right? I mean, we were just pumping through it. And the thing is, you know, when you're at a job that's very grueling, you know, it's easy to get irritable. You know, you just want to get through. You know, you're like, oh my gosh, I've been on the floor 4 hours straight, no bathroom break. I'm freaking like losing my mind over here. The kitchen's backed up, and then you come to a table and they're like, I have a gluten allergy, right? And I listen. I never to a customer's face. I always took allergies seriously. If a customer told me they had an allergy, I always would tell the chef. I'd always make a note. I always had to double check. I would respect it. But in my mind, or I'd you know, go to the corner and talk to my coworker, be like, oh, this bitch at table 12 told me she has a gluten allergy. Girl, you know, and I'm like, no, she doesn't have a gluten allergy. She just wants to be difficult. Like that's, but I was 25 and making a lot of money, and I had, you know, my ego was a lot bigger, and I was like,
karma,
you know, and and then I turned 30, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, actually, you have a gluten allergy, and like now for me, it's like when I was like, oh shit, I have this, I'm that bitch now. Like now I'm the bitch. It's like, excuse me, no, I need this lettuce wrapped. So, you know, and I do it all the time. I get my burgers lettuce wrapped. I'm like, I just, whatever I got to do, because I know that, and then and now I'm on the receiving end of it. I've gotten side eyes. I've gotten like deep sighs and like scoffs and stuff. And I just had to be like, all right, fine, whatever. I don't care. You're still going to do it because.
Right. Well, because like some people, like they do, like, cause I make up now when I go to the doctor because of the whole thing that happened with the tramadol. I say that I'm allergic to tramadol because I don't want any motherfucker giving me this shit by mistake, you know?
But in a way you are allergic, you know, because you didn't agree with your body.
Right. But there's still like a level. And what I think of is like, and I'm guilty of this too, because I had this friend of mine. She's not, you know, my friend anymore for reasons we won't get into, but
girl, I have one of those friends that's not a friend anymore too, girl. I feel you on that.
Yeah. But she has a gluten allergy, and like I don't care why or what, but like she's clearly like very serious about it, very like, you know, she makes awesome gluten-free stuff that I've had that like tastes delicious. And but like she came to LA one time, and I was so irritated by her just because of like the way she handled it, because I'm like, I'm willing to like go cater to your gluten allergy, but like I tried it, you know, sugarfish.
Oh, sugarfish. Oh, yeah, okay. So, girl, you fancy. I've been dying to eat there.
Well, I tried to take her to Sugarfish because she was visiting LA, and I'm like, she said she wanted sushi. So I'm like, oh, Sugarfish is like a good, like fancy, like little place that you should try when you're in LA, you know, if you're visiting. So I was like, let's go to Sugarfish. And I shit you not, for the whole week, and then especially at Sugarfish, like she was like, is this soy sauce? And this is her exact words. Is this soy sauce gluten-free? And
oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh my God, first of all, I didn't know soy sauce couldn't be gluten-free, but they were like, no, it's not. And she's like, oh, well, now I was like, well, then don't use the soy sauce because their fish is really good. She's like, that's like eating fries without ketchup. And I'm like, no, but okay. I'm like, do you want to go somewhere else? So we literally leave Sugarfish because she doesn't want to not use soy sauce. And this amazing place that like the fish is so good, you don't really need the soy sauce.
That's what I'm saying, girl. Like, yeah, all you need is, you know, she should have just asked for some lemon and some white vinegar. That's what I do when I just,
but like, that was the whole thing. It was like all week. And she's just like, every time she was like, well, in San Francisco, they had everything was when we were in San Francisco, they had everything she needed, but LA doesn't. And I got to tell you, this girl embarrassed me in front of so many servers at so many restaurants that I was just like, I'd be like, I'm sorry, like off to the side. And not because of her gluten allergy, but because of how she handled it. She shamed everybody for not being prepared at San Francisco. And I was like, dude, calm the fuck down. Like let's work together. Let's make it work. But like now we've like gone into and left several restaurants because you're being a dick about it. And she worked in the service industry. And I was like, how could you have been this much of a dickhead to all these servers as if it's their restaurant? That
girl, they didn't that's the thing. Is like when you know, and that's my whole thing is when you have an allergy, and this goes back to what my doctor said. When you have an allergy, it is your responsibility to, no one's going to care more about your health than you. So, it's like, you know, I have a homegirl, she's allergic to dairy and nuts. Like, severely. Like if she has a nut, she's gonna go to the hospital, you know?
Oh my God, nut allergies are so scary. Like my brother's allergic to shellfish and I feel so bad for him because like crab legs are like my favorite thing ever.
I love crab legs, girl. That sounds so good right now. But
I'm peeing right now. Hopefully you don't hear me.
Oh girl, I just did the same thing. I guess we're on the same schedule. We synced up.
We synced up. We're synced up on the phone. We're synced up on the pod.
Exactly.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's like at the end of the day, you know, with the allergy, like hearing stories like that to me is really unfortunate because it's like, you know, it is your responsibility. If you have when you are allergic to gluten, you learn what has it in there. Okay. Soy sauce has wheat. Anybody who's allergic to gluten, that's common sense. So if you're going to go to a sushi restaurant, if they don't have gluten-free soy sauce, you need a backup plan. I've never, ever, ever gone to a sushi restaurant that did not have lemon and white vinegar and wasabi. And I'll be getting my life. And honestly, like you said, if the fish is good, you don't really need that soy sauce anyway.
Right. Like we could have made it work. And then like, if she's still hungry, but like, just like the way she handled it. And I think that's like, not to say that it's right, but like, that's like when some people, I think I was a little justified in being annoyed is because she was not only like being a pain in the ass, but she was being very rude about it, you know?
Don't be rude. I hate that. Like, it's like we were talking about with the vegans. Like, you know, you're sitting here like, oh my gosh, like you're eating meat. Like, I can't believe you put dead flesh in your mouth. It's like, you're still giving your ex-boyfriend head and, you know, and that relationship is as dead as a doorknob. So, I mean, like we both put dead flesh in our mouth, to be honest with you. So what else you got to say, girl? Like,
oh my God.
You know, like, well, I'm vegan. It's like, oh yeah, I'm vegan and I can't believe you eat meat. Yeah, well, girl, I can't believe you steal from Walmart, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, right? I eat meat, but I don't steal from Walmart. So I don't know. So, you know.
Yeah. I love it when people also like, they're like, I am vegan. And then they've got like a straight up leather purse. And I'm like,
oh
okay,
my God.
You'll
like, it's
wear
vintage.
It, but you won't eat it. Yeah. Well, this is beef jerky. It's vintage. All right. Yeah. Oh man. I feel like this is so great. Like doing this podcast over the phone. Cause now it's just like, we're just chatting on the phone and I forgot that we were recording it. I'm like, while we're on the damn phone. Oh man. Yeah. I could do this all night, but we should maybe wrap it up. But, I'm so glad to have you. And this was such a great conversation. And I'm so glad everything's working out well. Why don't you like tell me some of your social media stuff and I'll put all this stuff in like the show notes, but I don't even know if people look at that and anything else you want to promote because you were talking about your show. So
so my handle for Instagram and Twitter is the same. It's just CHELSEG comedy.
Cool.
And then I just want to promote Yes I Can. I'm going to be working on it the next few weeks, you know, the editing and stuff like that. But my goal, I want to put it out in early May at the latest. So I'm going to be putting it out. My goal is sometime between like April 20th and 420.
Yes.
Sometime between 420 and May 1st. Like in that time, that's when I'm trying to get it out there. I want to put it on all streaming platforms available for everybody. And I also want to put the video portion on YouTube. So, and then just promote that. And yeah, so I'm, you know, keep an eye out for that. If you guys follow me on social media, you'll be able to see everything there. And yeah, this has been great. I'm really grateful. It's raining outside. It's nice to just kind of be in the house doing a podcast.
Yeah, this is very, very chill and easy. So guys, check out Chelsé Greaux. She's great. All of her comedy, very funny. One of the things that actually was talking to my boyfriend about earlier before we sign off was you don't think you were at my mic at Karma Lounge, but you were at
Carmel. I used to go to Carmel Lounge a lot when Adam Furberg was
yeah, but it was like a lot because it's closed now, but it was like years ago. You were on somebody's show there, like after one of my shows, and you were doing. I forget exactly what that set was about, but I remember my boyfriend and I just started dating, and he was like, "Oh my God, she is so damn funny." And then you came to my show at the Hollywood Hotel, and you were doing the set about how like. I think it was Lyft, like took your money right away, and you were like, "Zoop!" You're like, "Zoop!" They just take it, but then it takes like 4 days. Takes like 4 days to come back into your account.
Oh,
and
girl!
And he was there that night. And he was like, "Oh my God, that's the girl from Karma Lounge," and I was like, "I know."
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Well, tell your boyfriend I said hi. I appreciate the comedy love and everything. And Yeah, but yeah, girl, yeah, that still is ridiculous. Okay,
Yeah.
how it takes a millisecond for you to take my money, and now all of a sudden returning it is gonna be a delay. It's like whatever black magic you use to overdraw my account, use that same black magic
Exactly.
to put it back.
Put it back. It's just shoop. It just goes.
It just goes.
I love that. I'll never forget that. All
Thanks
right,
so much,
Chelsé.
girl.
Thanks so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.